So Kate, I know loads about you, obviously, but others that have joined us don't really know much about you. So tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I live in Northamptonshire with my husband George and our 3-year-old daughter Esme. And we've known each other for, we worked out, it was close to 15 years, which is amazing. I can't believe it.
And we still look just as young as the day we met.
Definitely, yeah, we keep telling ourselves that. So we met at church, yeah, as we said, a good few years ago. You were working at the church, and we became really good friends, and obviously have kept in touch since. And I have the honour of being Caspian's godmother as well. And so my job role, though, I work as a wellbeing director of a company in Northamptonshire set up by my brother, and that company is all about physical health and mental health. So that's something that we focus on.
Brilliant. And tell us why you're so passionate about mental health.
Well, I think it's something that's so important, and I think it's something that we need to make an open topic of conversation. We should all feel able to talk about our mental health. It's something that's relevant to each and every single one of us. And it's something that I knew very little about before actually experiencing my own mental ill health. So around the time that we met, actually, I was experiencing some mental illnesses, and I just sort of think it's so important that we reduce some of that stigma, or all of the stigma and discrimination attached to it, and as I said, make it something that we all feel able to talk openly about.
Brilliant, thank you. And we're in some quite weird times at the moment. We're all in lockdown, and it'd just be great if you could share some tips as to how you think we could help our mental health during these times.
Okay, yeah, so definitely. So first thing important to say is that, and this is something I say, I'm also a youth mental health first aid instructor. So I train up people in mental health awareness. And one of the things I always say is that we're all so unique. So, our mental health, my mental health looks different to your mental health. There'll be things that we have in common, but we all have different ways of managing our mental health. So that's first thing to say. And also I recognise that lockdown looks different for each of us. So if someone's a key worker, then obviously they may be busier than ever. Whereas like for myself, I've been furloughed, so I'm sort of at home all the time. So again, so it's about kind of take from these tips sort of what you will, what feels sort of appropriate for you. But my first tip is something that I go on about, I talk a lot about in the courses that I deliver, and that's to be self-compassionate. Because actually as Christians, people are often great at being compassionate, showing love and kindness and understanding and to others. But when it comes to showing it to ourselves, I think that can be really difficult for many of us, and that's something that I've battled with over the years, sort of self-esteem and all those kind of things. And at this time, it's about being kind to yourself. So I read a quote the other day.
What might that look like for people?
So practically, yes, a good question. So I think it's all around self-care, isn't it? So not giving yourself a hard time. And so for example, we see, it might be if you're on social media, you see people that have redecorated their homes and done all these amazing things, and we might be thinking, oh, today I haven't achieved anything, and actually it's just about looking after yourself. Even doing the things like making sure you relax, have a bath, do exercise as well. That's a really key one, because although we're limited in what we can do at the moment, we can find ways. I was running around the garden the other day. I'm very fortunate to have a garden, so I know that's not we don't all have gardens, but so doing what you can really, and being creative about how you do it. And there was a lovely quote that I saw on social media saying, "This is lockdown, making the most of a very bad situation. Chill out, take the pressure off yourself, and take care of you." And I think that's really important. So that's my first tip: be kind to yourself, be self-compassionate.
Brilliant.
I move on to the next one.
Yeah, great.
So next one is, I think it's good to have a bit of a plan, especially if you are at home a lot of the time for whatever reason, and having a bit of a plan in place, I think, can be really helpful. And that can be a flexible plan. So again, don't give yourself a hard time if that plan doesn't go to plan, but having a bit of a routine and a bit of a structure. And I find it helps to sort of segment, and sort of break the day down into segments, because otherwise it can feel quite like a long day. I was reading an article by Stephen Fry. He sort of delivered a talk on sort of managing anxiety at this time, and he said at this time we have to redefine our sense of time, and I think that's really it's true, isn't it? We're used to maybe going and doing lots of other things, or we're used to our working day, and actually things have changed. So have a bit of a plan in place, but make it a flexible plan, and make sure you incorporate into that plan the self-care and the exercise and all those sorts of things.
That's really good. Yeah.
My next one is live in the moment. So, which is, I think, really hard to do at the moment, because, we don't know what's around the corner. This is something that, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long this is going to last for. And actually learning to live in the moment is so important, because if we're in the moment, we can deal with whatever's going on. And that's what, I'm doing a course at the moment, an online course around mindfulness, and it's all about that, being in the present moment. And when we're in the present moment, we can deal with life. Whereas if we're sort of always looking in the rear view mirror at what's happened before, what's happened in the past, or if we're focusing on what's ahead, what's around the corner, and we don't know, then that can rob us of that joy and that peace that obviously we want to have.
Even thinking for like how many days this is going to go on for.
Definitely.
That's kind of anxiety provoking, isn't it? Whereas actually just to be disciplined at saying, I'm just going to think about today. And even Jesus talks about, tomorrow has enough worries of its own.
Exactly.
Tomorrow.
Exactly. And there's no point, we can't do anything about it. We can control the controllables. And that was something that I did a little talk on to some young people recently, that actually the things that we can control, like your attitude, your self-compassion, having a plan, whatever, we can control those things. But the things we can't control, like how long this is going to go on for, there's no point trying. But so live in the moment, try and just be. And the guy that is leading this mindfulness course that I'm attending at the moment, he said in the first session, this too shall pass. Like, this will pass. This is a time in our lives. Yes, we don't know how long, and obviously the impact is huge. There's no denying that. But just focus on this moment, and we can deal with this moment.
That's really good. Yeah.
My next one is around our phone use, which kind of links in, because this whole thing of being obsessed over. I know definitely I talk to my husband a lot. How long do you think this will go on for? When's lockdown going to end? And some of that's fueled by, I think, the things that we see online. Yeah. And I know at the beginning of lockdown, I was reading articles. I was reading every article you could find, and actually I found that I needed to, just sort of do less of that. And I'm not sure about you, but I found that my phone use since lockdown has gone through the roof. I find that being sort of maybe, and actually Stephen Fry in this article or this video that he did said about, there's so much noise, so much more noise at the moment. And it's lovely because we might be in contact with people that we haven't been for a while, and people are setting up video calls and quizzes. This week I've got 3 quizzes in the evenings. I haven't done a quiz for years, and this week alone,
that's enough to make me feel anxious.
I know, exactly. And they're not my strong point, general knowledge. Things that I find that I've got a screen in front of me more than ever. And actually, I found that quite overwhelming for a while. And so, manage your phone use. And, it might be that you leave your phone somewhere, and, we don't need it with us all the time, unless you do. Otherwise, give it a break.
One of the things that I've actually been quite disciplined at doing is not replying to messages straight away. Like, maybe waiting until the next day. I think, especially if somebody's asked me if I want a Zoom call, because it kind of allows me to spread out the calls a bit more by actually not replying to somebody until the next day. Because I just feel overwhelmed and bombarded by messages.
I think so, and that's it, and that's where again it comes into the controllables. That's something that you can take ownership of, and people understand. Even just, this is new to all of us, even just saying to people, I'd love to have a video call, I've got so many this week, is it okay if we I think it's something that we can manage, and I think it is important. Obviously it's a great way of connecting with people, and for some people might say, actually, this has been hugely helpful for my mental health, being able to connect in that way.
Yeah, and
So
connection is really important as well. Like connection is so important.
Massively important. And actually one of the things that we talk about a lot I talk about a lot in my work is the 10 keys to happier living, and that's a great thing, and I'll send you the link so you can send it on to everyone. I won't say about it now, but do have a look at those. That includes connection, it includes exercise, and they're things that are proven to improve our well-being, so they're well worth a look at this time. Right. And then my final tip is probably the most important one, and that's around prayer. You know, we've said that this word anxiety, it's an anxiety provoking time, and there's, you know, lots of different feelings to manage. So pray, it's about praying our way through it, I think. And for me, prayer is something that I don't find easy. We've talked about this a lot over the years, and I've learned just to keep it simple. And my daughter's taught me that, really, praying with my little girl, that's taught me. So it's okay to keep it simple, and little prayers throughout the day, just saying, Lord, please help me today. God, this feels like a long day, so whatever, just if those little prayers, I think, actually they make a difference. And again, it's our way of connecting, with God and with our faith. And a quote that I read or heard recently, which I find really helpful, is that peace is not the absence of trouble, it is the presence of Jesus in the midst of trouble. And it's so true, isn't it? And the serenity prayer is one that keeps coming up for me as well, how these things, it came up in my mindfulness course. It's one that I've had sort of on the side anyway. I've got it here next to me. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So yeah, keep praying. And we will be okay. We will get through. They're my tips.
That's brilliant, Kate. Thanks so much for all you've given us. And I don't suppose you just quickly summarise the 5 points again. Just quickly.
Definitely. So first one. So be self-compassionate. Be kind to yourself. Secondly, have a bit of a plan, but make sure it's a flexible plan. And don't give yourself a hard time if you don't achieve everything that you set out. Live in the moment, just be, and let yourself just be in the moment, and manage your phone use, all those video calls and so on. And the big one, pray your way through this time.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks so much, Kate. And it's really great to see you. And,
thank you.
Chat soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.